Hi, I'm Andrew Malkov. In this video, I would like to show you how easy it is to set up your own Kubernetes cluster on your own Raspberry Pis. For that, you need to have at least two Raspberry Pis. One will play a role as a master node and another one will be a worker node. You can even do this with just one Raspberry Pi. In this case, this Pi will play a master and a worker node at the same time, but I would not recommend it because the Raspberry Pi is still a tiny computer with limited resources. In this case, you will not be able to run much workloads in your cluster. So in my cluster, I will have 4 Raspberry Pis, 1 as a master node and 3 as the worker nodes. Before I will be able to install my Kubernetes on my Raspberry Pis, I need to prepare them. By preparing, I mean to install the operating system image. And I will do it for all my Raspberry Pis which form the cluster. So actually I have the master node and the 3 worker nodes. And my master node will use the SSD drive, sounds like that, yeah, so nothing special. And my worker nodes will work with the tiny SD drives. So to write an operating system to my SD cards and my SSD, I need to download first the Raspberry Pi imager. To do that, I'm going to my browser and I'm looking for Raspberry Pi software. And it showed me the first link, raspberrypi.com/software, and this is exactly what I need. If I go there, I will be able to see Imager as the first, almost the software that I can download, so Raspberry Pi Imager. And this is exactly what I need. I click download for Windows, and it's downloaded, so I open it. And after that, I just click install, and the installation process started. After it is installed, I click on finish, and also it will run the Raspberry Pi imager immediately. I click on finish, and the Raspberry Pi imager will be run in a second. I will just use my terminal as a black background, yeah, to just make it better visible, yeah, so the imager. The first thing that I need to do before I will write my operating system to my drives, it's first to choose which operating system I want to write. And when I click choose operating system, choose OS, I need to go to Raspberry Pi OS Other. I click on it, and then, as you can see, it has some multiple versions of Raspberry Pi operating system. Yeah, for example, like Raspberry Pi OS Lite, Raspberry Pi OS Full, and of course the difference between the Full and Lite is just a desktop environment. Yeah, the Full has the desktop environment, but actually for my cluster, I don't need to have it. So that's why I choose the Raspberry Pi OS Lite, but be careful. Yeah, so be careful because there are 2 versions of Raspberry Pi Lite, yeah. So here we have the 32-bit, yeah. As you can see, this is the 32-bit, but I don't need it, yeah. I need to have 46-bit, and please be careful, yeah. Not select 32-bit because there is a very hard to find the packages for your Kubernetes cluster that will support the 32-bit. So that's why I'm scrolling down a little bit, and then I found the Raspberry Pi OS Lite with the 64-bit. So this is exactly what I need, yeah? So the 64-bit. Okay, Raspberry Pi OS Lite, 64-bit, I selected. Then I need to select a storage that I want to use to flash my operating system. And I'm connecting my SD drive to my USB port. So now it's connected, and I can actually choose my storage. And as you can see, I have my SSD drive, which is 120 gig. And before I click write, I want to change some options, yeah. I need to change some settings. So that's why I'm going to the gear icon. I'm click on it, and then the couple of options that I want to change. First of all, I want to set the host name. Yeah, so this will be the name of my Raspberry Pi. in my network. So, and I want to, because this is the SSD drive from my master node, I want to say this is the pi master, yeah, so it sounds like this. This is the pi m. I want to enable SSH. SSH will be allow me to connect to my Raspberry Pi later on using my terminal. And do some modification settings and etc. Install some packages on it. Then I want to set my username and password. I will do it very fast. So this is my username and my password. After that, if you like, you can configure your Wi-Fi, but I really suggest you and recommend to connect your Raspberry Pis, your cluster to your network using the Ethernet cables. Yeah, so to connect it physically via the cable, not via the Wi-Fi. So that's why I don't need to configure my Wi-Fi. Then maybe I can set the locale settings. Yeah, so I'm in Europe, and the keyboard layout will be for me the US. And actually that's it. So it has the settings also to inject media after the when the process is finished. Yeah, this is exactly what I need. So after the process finished, it will automatically inject it. So that's why I can remove my media, my drives, my SD cards safely. Yeah, so I click save and I click write. It asked me, do you really want to continue? Because it also warned me that the device, all the files, all the data will be erased from this drive. I said yes, of course. I'm continue, and the writing process is started. When the writing process is finished, it starts the verification process to just verify that it writes all the files successfully. And after that is done, it's done. So right now I can remove the SSD drive from my USB, and actually what I can do next is to flash my my image for my worker node. I inject my tiny micro SD card, and then I need to select another storage. And I select the card, which is the 32 gig for me. Again, the operating system still the same, Raspberry Pi OS Lite, 64-bit. I go to settings before I click write, yeah, because I need to change something. First of all, I need to change the host name, and again, for me, will be the Pi 1. Yeah, so I decided to name my master node Pi M and my worker nodes just Pi 1, Pi 2, Pi 3. So I enable SSH, of course. I set the username and password, and I don't need to configure Wi-Fi, and I want to set the local settings. That's it, yeah. So this is it. I just need to change the host name, to be honest, because we did the configuration before I flash my master node. I click save and I click write, and again the same process. Nothing different. First of all, it will do write. Then it will do the validation, and after that it will be finished. And when it's done, again the card will be ejected, so it means that I can easily remove it safely from my computer, from my laptop. And actually I do the same process for my second and third card, for my second and third worker. It's the same process. So right now I'm actually ready to take those cards and SSD and inject it to my Raspberry Pis and boot them. So I've just returned back from my garage where I have my cluster, and I've injected all the SD cards to my worker nodes and my SSD drive to my master node. So the next thing, to be able to connect to the Raspberry Pis, I need to know their IP addresses. You can see it in your router, for example, if you have it. In my case, I have my Ubiquiti UniFi devices everywhere at my home. So that's why I go to the UniFi controller, and I will be able to see it. As you can see, I have my Pis listed in my clients, list. Yeah, so this is my clients and this is my Pis, and I can also see the IP addresses. By the way, I set up the static IP addresses. This is really what I recommend to you. To set up a static IP addresses, and in this case, it means that the Raspberry Pi will never change it. Yeah, so this IP address, for example, 10.0.27.10, will be always assigned to my master node. And this is exactly what I need. I need to know the IP address to be able to connect. Other option that you can take is also take your monitor, attach it to each and every Raspberry Pi in a cluster, attach your keyboard, and then see what IP address it has. But of course, it's better, yeah, to check your router for that information. Okay, so when you will know the IP address, then we need to go to the terminal. I will start with the master node. To connect to my master node, I will type SSH and then my username, which I specified when I flashed the operating system to my SD cards or SSD drive, and this is Ian Malkov. And then I place @ and the IP address, which is actually for my master node is 10.0.27.10. 10.0.27.10. Okay, and I click enter. And now it says that, are you really want to continue? I said, yes, I want to connect. And then it asks for a password. So I inject my password. Something is wrong. Okay, I see. Sometimes it's happening, yeah? Too much passwords in my head. Okay, and now you see I'm connected. You can see that my command prompt changed from my normal PowerShell prompt, yeah, to a Linux prompt. It means that I'm inside my Raspberry Pi of my master node. The first thing before we install anything on my master node, I need to update and upgrade all the packages already installed on my Pi. So to do that, I just type the command sudo apt update. I click enter. It will download all the updates or fetch all the updates to my local system. And after that, I do almost the same command sudo apt but upgrade with the flag -y, because I don't want to say yes when it will ask me to confirm that I want to install the new packages. It can take a while. Okay, and it's finished now. So right now I'm ready to install the Kubernetes cluster. And actually, I selected there are a variety of Kubernetes that you can install. Yeah, so but I selected K3s. Why? Because it's specifically designed for the tiny IoT or IRM devices, and this is exactly what I have. Yeah, so I have the Pis, which is not full-blown computer with the huge power of CPU and a lot of memories. Yeah, so just a tiny little computer. But still, it's enough to run my cluster. So that's why I use K3s. And to continue, I want to go to the K3s website. So I actually go and search for the K3s. And as you can see, the first link points me to k3s.io. It says that it's a lightweight Kubernetes, but this is exactly what I want. It's specifically designed for edge, IoT, IRM devices, and the Pi, it's actually the IRM device. So I go straight to docs, and inside the docs, I select the quick start guide. And the quick start guide just prompts me the commands that I need to run to install my cluster. Copy. So I copied this command, but before I will execute it, first thing that I need to do is to change my C groups a little bit, because the K3s requires the C group, memory C group, so that's why I need to activate it. By doing this, I need to type the sudo command sudo, and I want to run with a super user command nano. So this is my text editor, and then I need to specify what I want to add, and it's inside the boot. It's cmdline.txt. I click on it, and this is it has some already information that it used during the boot, and I want to modify it. So I just go to the end of the line, and I insert cgroup memory equals 1, so it is activating the cgroup, and then it's a cgroup underscore enable equals memory. So this is it. This is what I need to type. It's just a cgroup underscore memory equals 1, and then the cgroup underscore enable equals memory. I also check it I'll check it two times just to be sure that I type without any errors. Okay, now I'm press Ctrl X to save the file, and I say yes, and I click enter that I want to save the file with the same name. So just to check that I enter everything correctly, I can do cat command again with the sudo cat, and then I will be able to see my changes. At the end of the file, I have cgroup memory equals 1 and cgroup underscore enable equals memory. Okay, so now I just need to reboot my Pi, and I do this by sudo reboot. And of course, I immediately disconnected from my Pi. So I will give couple of seconds to my Pi to do the reboot, and after that I will again type the same command, SSH, my username, and then my IP address for my Pi. I click enter, and if my Pi is booted, then I will see the prompt that asks me to enter the password. Okay, it's here, and I can type my password, the right one this time, yeah. So I'm inside my Pi, and now everything is ready to actually start deploying K3s. So I will just right click. Because I have this command in my clipboard, so that's why I just execute this command. Don't worry, I will place all the commands and what you need to type or where in the description to this video. And the process of installing started. The installation is done, and now it says that it tries to starting K3s, and because it's the first time, it can take a little bit time. And this is it. So it's finished. Yeah. So the installation is finished, and the server is started. So that's why I can type the commands just to prove that it's working. Yeah. So to do that, I do sudo kubectl. By the way, this installation also installed the kubectl tool as well. So that's why we don't need to install it separately. So the kubectl is also installed, and I say get nodes, for example, yeah, just to check what nodes I have within my cluster. And when I execute the command, I see that I have my PIM node, which is the master node, which is the control plane and master. Yeah, it's started 55 seconds ago, and this is the version that I have on my master node. It's 122.6 of the K3s. Okay, so my master node is ready, and now I'm ready to install my worker node. But before I will jump out of my master node, I need to take the token, the node token, to be able to join my worker node to this particular master node. To take the token. The token located inside the var lib rancher k3s and server folder. So that's why I execute the command just to see it. I do sudo cat, so I want to see the content of the file, and then I say var and then lib and then k3 no rancher. Yeah, there is a rancher, and then k3s and then server, and after the server it's a node token. Yeah, so this is what I need to type to see the token. And when I type this command and I click enter, then I see the token. So this is the token that I need to copy. And then this token I will need when I want to attach my my worker node to my cluster. Okay, that's mainly it for the master node, and I type exit. Okay, and I clear the screen. So the next thing that I have to do is to set up my worker nodes. So that's why I need to connect to my worker nodes one by one and do a list of steps. So I will connect to the first node, and to do this I do SSH, and my first worker node has 11 at the end of its IP address. So that's why I click enter and I say yes, I want to connect, and I need to enter the password, correct one at that time. Good, and I'm connected. So again, almost the same steps as I did for the master node. So it's sudo. So first of all, to get the new packages, yes, sudo apt-get. Update. After that, sudo apt upgrade with -y flag, just to not type yes. And it's done. So now I need to activate the same cgroup memory. Yeah. So then to do that, I need to do sudo nano. So I want to run the nano editor, and the file is located inside the boot, cmdline.txt, and I click enter. And at the end of this file, I just place cgroup underscore memory equals 1, and cgroup underscore enable equals memory. So cgroup memory equals 1 and cgroup enable equals memory. I click Ctrl X and then I say yes, and then I click enter. So that's mainly it, what we need to do prior we actually run the installation. The installation command, it's inside the documentation of the K3s. So I just went back to my browser and scroll a little bit down, and this is the command. So I just copy, and I move to my command line and inject this command. Paste this command. So this command I need to change something, because I need to first of all place the IP for my master node, which is the 10.0.27.10. So this is my IP address of my master node. The port is 6443. Yeah, it's the same port. Then you remember I copied the node token, and this is exactly what I need to place over here. So I just go to my history of my clipboards and I just insert it. Okay. And I press enter. And it's done. Unfortunately, I forgot to restart my worker node, yeah, before I set up the K3s. So in any case, I can do it right now. So sudo reboot, and of course my connection will be closed. Yeah. So, but in any case, so what I can do now, I can go to my master node. So I can clear the screen, and I can go SSH again to my master node. I enter my password. And now what I can do sudo, almost the same command, yeah, is the same command that I entered before, kubectl get nodes. And after a while, I see that I have the pi1 node appears here, and actually it says that the status is not ready. So let's give some time for a boot. And now I have two nodes inside my cluster, Pi master and Pi 1. I do repeat the same steps for my second and third node, worker node. And now it's done. So now I want to connect to my master node again. So it's SSH with the username and the IP of it. I type my password. And what I wanted to see now, I want to see all my 3 worker nodes are up and running. So that's why I do sudo kubectl get nodes command again. And as you can see now, I have my master node in the status ready, which contains the control plane and master. And I have my Pi 1, Pi 2, and Pi 3 set up and run, and they're ready. Yeah, of course, it's not useful to go always to your master node to be able to see what's going on with your cluster, to check your pods or services or whatever you want to check. So I want to run the commands against this cluster from my laptop, for example. So that's why I need to set up the remote connection to my cluster. So to do that, I need to first catch or grab all the connection information from the kubeconfig file. By default, the K3s store the config file inside the K3s YAML file located inside the etc rancher K3s folder. So this is exactly what I wanted to do. So I want to print the content of this file. So that's why I do sudo cat and then I go to etc rancher K3s and then K3s YAML, and I click enter, and this is actually the content of the file that I need to grab. And I actually I'm just copying the content to my clipboard, and I do exit from my master node. All right, I copied the content of this file, and now I need to merge this content with the content that I already have inside my kubeconfig file on my laptop. To do that, I will use the Visual Studio Code. So that's why I type code, and then the kubeconfig file is located inside the home.kube folder. And I click enter. And this is the content of my current kubeconfig file. So I just move down and I want to use the and I actually code, inject to open this file the data from the content that I copied, and I just need to have 3 things. I need to have a cluster, I need to have the context, and I need to have a user. This is the 3 things that I need to merge with my current content. Before I will merge it, I want to edit it a little bit, because I can't reference my master node to the local host. So it's not 127.0.0.1. So that's why I need to insert my IP 10.0.27.10. So this is the IP address of my master node. The port is 6443, and the name, I will also change the name to the Pi. So I will just name my cluster as a Pi. So again, the same things. Here is the Pi. So I actually change all the default name to the Pi. Okay, and now the last thing that I need to also change the name of the user. So that's it. So this is the Pi. Okay, so I need to now copy the first part. I will do Control X to the contexts. So as you can see, it has the clusters, it has the contexts, and it has the users arrays. So it's 3 arrays inside the YAML file, and the first thing, cluster, I need to copy inside the cluster, so just right before the contexts. Then the second thing, context, again Control X, I need to copy after all the contexts that I have, Control V, and here it is. So this is my last context. that I inserted, and the last one I need to just align a little bit with the last user that I have. So and that's mainly it. So I just again I'm inserted the information about the cluster. I inserted the information about the context, and I inserted at the end the information about user. That's mainly it. So I save the file, Ctrl S, and I'm actually close the Visual Studio Code. I will clear my screen, Ctrl L, and I hope now I can connect to my Pi cluster. So let's try it. First of all, let's check the context that I already have in my kube config. So to do that, I do kubectl config get contexts, and now I see that I have 3 contexts, and the Pi is over here. Yeah. Okay, good. So now I need to set the Pi as my default context. To do that, I use kubectl config use context Pi. And now, again, if I look at the get contexts, I see this small asterisk that tell me that I'm talking to the Pi cluster. So all the commands that I run now in kubectl will be sent to this particular cluster. Let's try it. So let's do kubectl get nodes. And I will be able to see all my nodes from my Pi cluster. And this is exactly what I wanted. Yeah. So now I can send all the commands from my laptop to my Pi cluster. The next thing that I want to do is to just try to run some pods within a cluster. So let's do it with kubectl ctl run. And for example, we run just tiny nginx alpine pod inside the cluster. As you can see, the pod is created. So now I do kubectl get pods. And now I see that the pod is there. It has the status container creating. So I just want to get it again. And I see that the pod nginx is up and running within my cluster. So that's now, and I want to check it. So that's why I do port forward. For example, I can set up a port forwarding from my local host to this particular pod to just see that it's up and working. So to do this, I do kubectl port forward to my pod nginx, and I want to map my localhost 8080 port to the port 80 within this pod. And I click enter. So right now the port forwarding is started. So I open my browser, and now I can go, I open a new tab, and I can go to localhost 8080, and I click enter, and I see welcome to nginx. So everything is working within my cluster. I can create the pods, I can create the deployment services, whatever I want, secrets and etc. So my cluster is working fine. So this is it. You saw how easy it is to set up your own cluster on your Raspberry Pi. Thank you very much for your attention. Please do subscribe to my channel. There will be a lot of interesting video about containers, about Kubernetes, about DevOps, all the things that I'm doing. So keep in touch, and see you next time. Bye.